Have you ever paused to ponder what the world looked like before Noah's flood? Imagine a world untouched by human influence, a world of pristine beauty and harmony, an earth that was a paradise. This was the world before time, the world before the flood. According to the biblical account of creation, this world was created in 7 days. On the first day, there was light, separating the day from the night. On the second, the firmament or sky was created. The third day brought forth dry land and vegetation. The fourth day saw the creation of the sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth day God created the creatures of the sea and the birds of the air. The sixth day was reserved for land animals, and finally the first man and woman, Adam and Eve. Now picture Adam and Eve, the first humans living in the Garden of Eden. This was no ordinary garden, it was a paradise, a place with lush greenery, vibrant flowers, and the most magnificent creatures. Rivers flowed, their waters clear and pure, providing everything needed for life. In this paradise, Adam and Eve were free to roam and explore, to enjoy the abundance of fruit and to live in harmony with the animals. Their days were filled with joy and wonder, their lives simple and pure. There was no pain, no sorrow, no death. Yet the Garden of Eden was more than a physical paradise. It was a place of spiritual communion. Here, Adam and Eve walked with God in the cool of the day, talking with Him, learning from Him. They were in perfect relationship with their Creator, living in His presence, experiencing His love and grace. But this idyllic world, this paradise, was not to last. As we delve deeper into the early chapters of Genesis, we discover that this perfect world was disrupted, forever changed by a single act of disobedience. The Garden of Eden was a paradise, but as we all know, paradise was lost. What led to the corruption of this beautiful world, you might wonder? In the heart of this tale lies a concept that has echoed through the ages, a concept known as the original sin. Our story takes us back to the Garden of Eden, as described in the Bible, where the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve, lived in harmony with all of creation. In this paradise, they were free to partake of all the fruits of the garden, save one, the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were explicitly instructed by God not to eat from this tree, but as the story goes, a crafty serpent slithered its way into the garden and into the minds of the first humans. The serpent, exhibiting a cunning wit, lured Eve into questioning the command given to her and Adam. He painted a tantalizing picture of the wisdom and understanding that the forbidden fruit could offer. Eve, captivated by the prospect of such knowledge, took a bite of the forbidden fruit and gave some to Adam, who also ate. In that moment, they disobeyed a direct command from their Creator. The consequences of their disobedience were immediate and profound. Their eyes were opened, and they realized their nakedness. They felt shame for the first time. The harmony of the garden was shattered. This act of disobedience, this first sin, resulted in a curse that affected all of creation. The ground was cursed, making it difficult for Adam to cultivate. Eve was told she would experience pain in childbirth. The serpent was cursed above all animals. The once tranquil and harmonious existence was replaced with hardship, pain, and death. The blissful innocence of the world was lost, and the seeds of corruption were sown. This disobedience, this first sin, was the pivotal moment that altered the course of humanity and the world at large. The fall of man marked the beginning of a downward spiral. What was the result of this original sin? Let's dive deep and explore the aftermath of the first transgression. The world, once a paradise of tranquility and harmony, began to decay from the inside out. It was like a fruit, once ripe and full of life, now rotting and losing its essence. The disobedience of man had brought about a moral decay that seeped into the very fabric of existence. The purity of the world was tainted, its innocence lost in the mire of human failings. This degradation was not just a physical phenomenon, it was a spiritual collapse, a moral disintegration. The world was no longer a haven of peace and love, but had become a breeding ground for wickedness. It was as if the hearts of men had turned to stone, their souls shrouded in darkness. The world was filled with violence, hatred, and immorality. The once harmonious symphony of life was replaced by a cacophony of discord. The sweet songs of birds were drowned out by the cries of men, their pleas for mercy echoing in the silence. The gentle rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of the river, the whispering winds were all but forgotten in the chaos and turmoil. The people had forgotten their Creator. They had turned away from the path of righteousness and were lost in a labyrinth of their own making. Their minds were filled with wicked thoughts, their actions fueled by selfish desires. Their hearts were devoid of love and compassion, their spirits crushed under the weight of sin. Violence and immorality were not just prevalent, they were the norm. The world was a battleground, every man for himself. The strong preyed on the weak, the powerful exploited the powerless. It was a world devoid of justice, a world where might was right. Yet amidst this chaos there were still those who yearned for a return to the days of innocence and peace. They longed for a world where love and compassion reigned supreme, where justice was not just a word but a way of life. But their voices were drowned out by the deafening roar of the world's corruption. The world was in chaos, and it seemed there was no hope for redemption. But in the midst of this darkness, a ray of hope emerged. Enter Noah. Born during a time when the world was drowning in wickedness, Noah was different. He was a righteous man, a man of virtue, a man who walked with God. Even as a child, there was something inherently good about him. His heart was not corrupted like those around him. Instead, it was filled with compassion and love. As Noah grew, so did his favor with God. He stood out in a world that had lost its way, a beacon of righteousness in a sea of iniquity. Noah was not swayed by the sin that had ensnared the world. His moral compass remained steadfast, pointing always towards what was right and just. In a world that was spiraling into chaos, Noah was a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of goodness. His life was a beacon, illuminating the path of righteousness for others to follow. Noah was a beacon of hope in a world consumed by wickedness. And so, God had a plan to cleanse the world. A plan that was as audacious as it was necessary given the decay that had permeated the earth. The divine plan was not just about destruction, it was about salvation, about a fresh start, about a new dawn. God looked upon Noah, a beacon of righteousness in a world lost to sin, and saw in him the future. He approached Noah with a task that would have crumbled the resolve of any ordinary man. But Noah was not ordinary. He stood tall amidst the chaos, a tower of faith and obedience. God instructed Noah to construct an ark, an enormous vessel that would shelter his family and a pair of every creature on earth from the impending flood. The ark was to be made of gopher wood, a material known for its durability and resistance. It was to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, a monolithic structure that would stand against the wrath of the divine flood. Noah, despite the enormity of the task, did not falter. He did not question. He did not doubt. Instead, he picked up his tools and set to work. He built the ark not just with timber and pitch, but with unwavering faith and unwavering obedience. The divine plan was not about punishment, it was about redemption. It was about giving mankind a chance to start over, to build a world that was free from the shackles of sin. The flood was not a sign of God's anger, but a symbol of his mercy, a testament to his boundless love for his creations. And as the last nail was driven into the ark, as the last creature climbed aboard, the heavens opened up. Rain began to fall, not with the gentle rhythm of a summer shower, but with the relentless fury of a storm unleashed. And so, the stage was set for the greatest cataclysm the world has ever known. The world was to be washed clean, and from its ashes, a new world was to rise, a world that bore the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Let's revisit the journey we just undertook. We started with the world as it was before time, a place of perfection and harmony, only to see it marred by the first sin. This act of disobedience against the divine order set in motion a chain of events that led the world to decay. As the world spiraled into chaos, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of Noah. Born into this tumultuous world, Noah was chosen by God to carry out a divine plan, a plan that involved the cleansing of the world with a great flood, a drastic measure to restore the balance that was once lost. This narrative of the world before the flood is not just a tale of sin and redemption, it's a lesson for all generations, a cautionary tale reminding us of the consequences of our actions. Remember, the world before the flood was a lesson for all generations to come.